This is your weekly moment of growth. How are we able to turn fear into action? A number of months ago, I was on a podcast called Do It Scared with my friend Ruth Sukup, and I shared a number of things that I do in my life to make sure I overcome the fear and the doubt that I've created in my head in order to create the success that I have. And I want to break down those steps for you here and something that you can instill into your life today to make ultimate changes. The first thing we need to realize is that ultimately success is finding the good amidst the bad that's happening to us. It creates this internal dialogue that there's opportunity and hope. And so I wanted to dive into the things that I truly focused on to make sure that I focus on hope instead of the failures and the downside to life that's happened to me. The first step is to always take action. So often fear freezes us and it stops us in our tracks. But if we force ourselves to take the smallest action that day, to take the first step, to do something, the rest will take care of itself. You see, even if it's just getting up out of bed the second your alarm goes off, or working out that day, or making that one call that we were afraid to make, it is about taking action to break down the walls of fear as we move forward. Number 2, we must ask. We must ask of others because they want to deliver for us. And so when I look at my podcast, and I'll use this as an example, I used to say to myself, how do I get these bigger names on my shows? How do I connect with them? And all I did was ask. We get frozen in fear of somebody saying no, of somebody rejecting us. And so whether that's any part of your life, whether that's trying to get the next guest on your podcast, if you're a podcaster, if it's asking somebody for the sale, if it's asking somebody out on a date, if we just ask, don't think about what their response is going to be, just ask. Number 3, find the good amongst the bad. And I kind of touched on this in the very beginning, but if we're able to find out what lesson we are being taught in the moment, then we can shift our perspective on everything. And so as we go through these bad things, we want to ask ourselves, why is this happening for me? It is not happening to me, it is happening for me. There's always a lesson. As long as we have a breath in our body, we're here to learn. And if we're learning, we're growing, and we can move through and push through fear. Next, we have to understand that failure is our greatest teacher. You just failed? Good. What did you learn from that experience? I've had many failed businesses, including live events, under my belt. And what did I learn from that? That's what we have to take away from it, right? And so some of you guys know the story where I used to own a company that I put together seminars and expos that focused on personal and professional growth. And I brought in a big name speaker and I sold 3 tickets to the event. That is a failure. But what did I learn? I learned that I had to understand my market. I learned that I had to sell to the right people. I learned that I have to cater to the people that are in my audience versus catering to myself. And now what we just had a couple months ago was a sold out, very successful Growth Now movement live. Now, did I ever think I was going to do live events after that failure? No. But when the opportunity arose, I learned from my failures, and that is our greatest teacher. And last, but certainly not least, we have to practice self-care. We have to make sure that we are filling up our cup every single day in order to help others. So often we worry so much about others before we're worrying about ourselves. But if our cup is empty, we will fail. We will be more afraid to take action. But if we take care of ourselves, we'll feel stronger, more confident, and we'll be able to take on the obstacles of that day, that month, that year, that lifetime. And so I want to have you guys kind of step back and listen to this episode again, as it's only a couple minutes long, but listen to it again. And what are you doing when it comes to fear that you can ultimately take care of the obstacles that you're facing today? I want you to write them down in a book. I want you to write down how you're taking care of yourself. I want you to write down your last failure, and I want you to write down how you reacted to it. Scratch that out and then write down how you should have reacted to it. And then start to put into practice the next time. Be more mindful of the things that are happening for you. And once you're more mindful of the things that are happening for you, everything else will begin to take care of itself. Our biggest takeaway in this weekly moment of growth today is to understand that we are meant for greatness. And even though we experience failure, even though we are taken down by others around us, even though there are moments we want to tap out, every single one of us is meant for greatness. I want you to remember that going into this weekend and then early next week, because we have some exciting things coming up, and I can't wait to tell you more about it, including more speakers for Growth Net Movement Live 2, and how you guys can get involved and help yourself with business and all the other things that you're trying to work on and get that to the next level. Stay tuned for that announcement. I can't wait to share it with you guys, and I'll talk to you next week.